Okay. Thank you for being here today for the second part for Elise. Before I continue, there was a correction I want to make. In the first line, I said there was no C, but of course there is a C there. So your hand position is thumb on A with your 5 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Oh, let me see if I can type that in again. That was fun, being able to type. Annotate. Okay. I have to move this out of the way. All right. So we have we have 1 on A, your thumb on A. Then 2 is already listed as a B. Then C would be I'm going to do C and D together. They're about the same distance. C and D. And so, and you would start with finger number 5 on E. It just makes the whole thing a lot easier when you use your correct fingering. And so let's see, do I have everything? I have everything but the 2. Let me just add a 2 here. So you also have a physical memory that you kind of can also help you learn how to play music, because it is a physical challenge on any instrument. Okay, so here we have A, B, C, D, and E. All right, so it's 5 notes in a row, but all together they make that incredible phrase of for Elise. Okay, that famous phrase. Okay, so we've already learned the first 2 lines, except there's one other spot in the ending just before you repeat or just before you go on to part 2, where your hand was in this position with your thumb on C, and in order to keep the one gesture, your pinky would be on this B. So you really don't move your hand a whole lot, because less movement is smoother and more efficient for piano, so you can put your energy more into expression instead of movement, right? And so the C, 1 on C and the 5 on B, you just move your hand at that same interval, which is a 7th. You move it over to D and C. So if you just move up 1 note with both of those fingers, then you have the hand positioned for this last phrase, which takes you into the repeat and or second ending. There. So I hope you've been practicing your left hand part here, the A, the octave expanse. And here you will have another octave expanse with a crossover with your pointer finger. So there's the A gesture and the E gesture. Now we're going to go on to the second ending. In the second ending, it starts with back in the original hand position, in the A hand position, except you don't use your thumb. You start with your pointer finger on B. Let's see, what am I doing? I'm going to click there and write in your fingers, your fingering, which in this case is moves by step. So you have 3 notes in a row. And the last, it kind of inverts the first phrase in a way, because instead of the last note of the phrase ending on your thumb, the last note of the phrase ends with your 5th finger or your pinky. And so it moves by step B, C, D, E very smoothly. And so that's one gesture starting from the B. So that's where our second part begins. Now, as you play that last note of this phrase on E, you're going to play what looks like the A gesture, but it has been transposed up a third. So instead of playing in A minor, you're playing in the relative major key, which would be C, right? So you're going to use the exact same fingering you used for the A gesture, but transpose up a third. So here we have the notes C, G, and C. So you're going to reach an octave between in your left hand, between your pinky and your thumb. And as you, it's a perfect piece for piano. It's very pianistic. It's just designed for the hand. So as you play the C with your pinky and reach for your other C an octave higher, which is a great interval to just to know and just to be able to play automatically, your pointer finger will fall on the G. Or just move your finger so it falls on the G. But it's really a very natural gesture. So now that we're talking about the left hand, let's continue with the left hand. And here we have another gesture of, okay, for some reason there's extra dots there. Let me see if I get rid of them there, okay? Now, this is very much like the E gesture, which is actually the 5th, the 5 chord to an A minor, right? So it's kind of a 1-5-1 that's going on in the left hand. And likewise, we've established C as being our first chord, and then it goes to the 5 of C, which is G. And the fingering is the same again, with reaching from G to G and crossing over to play the 3rd, which is B. So I'm going to write those notes in for you. G, G, and then B. And the B is the crossover with your pointer finger. So you just roll your hand in the same way you learn to roll the hand on the E gesture, you're going to use the exact same fingering and play the octave of G in arpeggiated fashion and cross over to play the B. And so that's 1, 5, and then what we have here is a modulation back to the 1 of A minor, of the minor key. So for a brief moment, we're in a major key here, and it really brightens up the whole song with contrast to go from that beautiful minor melody into a major key all of a sudden. But here he goes back to the minor, which is a gesture we already are familiar with, the A gesture. So I'll just write A, because we already know this. We already know how to play this A gesture with your left hand, and we should recognize it, okay? Because we've already played it several times in the first part. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the sequence that occurs in the melody of the second ending, which is kind of a bridge to an ABA form of this song. So we were in A position with A, B, C, D, and pinky on E. So what Beethoven does is he expands the melodic contour of the song by one note, in upward and downward. So instead of a fifth, now we have a seventh expanse between the thumb and the pinky. And so that's the gesture that becomes a sequence as it moves down by step 3 times. It starts on G, then the same gesture occurs on F, and the same gesture occurs on E. So by the same gesture, I mean you can use the same fingering and just move your hand over by one note, okay? So the fingering is, we're going to take that 5th finger and move it up by one note to the F, and we're going to take the thumb, which didn't play yet here, and move it down. So your hand opens up to play 1, 5, 4, 3 is the fingering of your right hand for this entire phrase. 1, 5, 4, 3. Ba-da-da-da. Okay? And it's kind of similar to the gesture just before the first ending, except here we also added a harmony note of C. But here it's starts on G, ba-da-da-da. Then it goes to F, ba-da-da-da. Then it goes to E, ba-da-da-da. Get rid of that, those dots, okay. So you're going to use the same fingering, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3 here, except your starting note is different. So this is Beethoven, the master of suspense, adding emotion and an emotional component into the music. So first he transposes to the major key, and then he sets up a tension, 1, 5, instead of going back to 1 in the new key, he transposes back to the original A minor key, and yet he keeps the melodic sequence again, ba-da-da-da, and this last or third time that he uses this melodic gesture as a sequence, he ends on B and treats it as a 5-chord. And Beethoven loves to build suspense on the dominant harmony of a song. And this is exactly what he does here, is he creates suspense with these 5, well, actually, I call this the famous 9 E's. Okay, so there are 9 E's, and let me see if I can find another. I'm gonna draw. Let's see if I can draw. Put a circle around the 9 E's. So the 9 E's start here. Let's see if this works. These are the 9 E's. They are all E. Now, the interesting thing about it is this set of E's and this set of E's are the same E's. They look different because they're in two different staves. But as you can see, he's got the little treble clef stave here, the G clef here. So he actually transposed the left hand into the treble clef here. So the right hand plays those 2 E's. Did I say G? I meant E. The right hand plays E and the left hand plays E. The same 2 E's. So that's one thing to take note of as you're listening to my demonstration. And then the other thing is to use the fingering that's listed here, 5-5-1. So instead of playing 5-1 and then crossing over, it's just smoother if you just move your hand up, pinky, pinky, thumb. And then, so you're going to play that E, 1 E with your left hand, and then you're going to repeat that same E with your right hand and play the octave. So pinky, pinky, thumb, right hand picks up on the same note with the thumb and then plays E. So there we have 5 of them, 5 in a row. Then 6, 7, for the 6th and 7th E, the left hand plays the same 2 E's, right? And then the right hand is going to pick up on the same E here. It doesn't look necessarily the same, but again, it's written in 2 different staves, but they are the same E, right? So the left hand plays that E and then the right hand picks up on the same E and plays the octave. So there you have 9 E's. The famous 9 E's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if that's not suspenseful enough, then Beethoven does this showy little left hand, right hand thing with a D sharp E. First in the left hand, and then the right hand, and then the left hand. And then the right hand repeats it one more time before it goes into the same melody as we had in section A. So these are the same 2 notes, first played by the left hand, then the right hand, then the left hand, then the right hand, then the right hand plays back to the melody and takes it home. Okay, so I hope that'll help you through your Für Elise, your wonderful musical Für Elise, and I hope you enjoy practicing.